Well, hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Deer Valley Unified School District Parent Webinar. Today is Thursday, December 10th. My name is Gary Zerbach. I am the Deputy Superintendent for Administrative Leadership and Services. I am here this evening with Dr. Gail Galligan. Gail, give him a wave right there. Dr. Gail Galligan is our Deputy Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. We are here this evening to present to you information regarding return to school second semester. Okay, here is the agenda for this evening's parent webinar. We'll start by reviewing the purpose. Next, we will look at the public health benchmarks, which most of you are probably well aware of, as those have been communicated in the news and other media outlets over the past several months. We then will review what was outlined in the governing board work session this past Tuesday as to how we will resume our second semester for our various student groups. We will then go into some other department items in terms of support for our students as far as how that will look. And then finally, we will end with what you can do as a parent to support both you, the community, and the district during this particular time. Okay, so in terms of setting the purpose for today's webinar, I'll read from this slide to make sure it's very clear, is that Dr. Galligan and I will outline for the DVUSD parent community how we will begin the second semester, both for students who are registered at current brick and mortar campuses in DVOA and DVOLP. DVOA, if you're not familiar, is our elementary virtual school, and DVOLP is our virtual school for our high school students. So let's go into the public health benchmark. They're going to remove me from the screen so you can clearly see the slides right now. But this slide captures two of the three public health benchmarks. On the left is our case count per 100,000. You can see that it has risen pretty significantly beginning in the end of October and then continuing to now. We are currently at 353 per 100,000 on our case count. This is in the red or the substantial spread category according to the rankings by ADHS and Maricopa County Department of Public Health. On the right is the rate of positivity benchmark. You can see that we are currently at 15.52. That again is in the red or the substantial spread category. This particular one, though, we were in the yellow last week, so we have not had 2 consecutive weeks yet of positivity in the red, but we have had 2 consecutive weeks in the red or the substantial for our case count per 100,000. This next slide captures the third metric, which is the percent of COVID-like illness. Again, similar to the prior slides, you can see that we have had an accelerated rate of increase in the most recent weeks here in the district. We currently are at 9.1%. Now, this particular metric is not specific to Deer Valley Unified. This metric is for the entire county. So all of the districts that are in Maricopa County would use this particular metric. So everyone would be at 9.1. This is in the moderate spread or the yellow if you are looking at the categorical rankings from ADHS and Maricopa County Department of Public Health. So in summary, you can see that for our 3 public health benchmarks, we have one benchmark that has been substantial for 2 consecutive weeks. We have a second benchmark that is currently in the substantial, but it has not been there for 2 consecutive weeks. And we have a third benchmark that is in the moderate category currently. Okay, let's take a look at our current DVUSD COVID-19 dashboard. If you are not aware, we do post updates to this dashboard each Monday afternoon, roughly at about 4 o'clock. You can look at any particular school as well as the district office in transportation on this dashboard to see any current active COVID-19 cases where there is a public exclusion involved for a positive case. You can see that our Monday's posting of 102, it is significantly higher than it has been in prior weeks. and that increase is again accelerating. Okay, so this next slide talks about this concept of short-term conversion to virtual. If you were not able to join us at Tuesday's governing board work session, we did talk with the board about 4 different responses to the increase in COVID-19, both in the community and in the schools. The first response was called precision conversion, and that is if we need to close multiple grade levels, perhaps a school or perhaps even multiple schools, that would be one particular response we would do. A precision conversion happens particularly if we have to provide less than 24 hours notice due to some type of staffing shortage at our schools. The second response we talked about is short-term conversion to virtual, and that's what's pictured here on this slide. This is when we would look at being in a virtual environment for a 1 to 2 week cycle with a clear date for reentry for in-person activities. Our third option that we discussed with the governing board is called a structural addressment, and that refers to a hybrid type model, such as an A-B model, where half the students would come on one day and half of the students the next day. You heard Dr. Galligan talk about that on the governing board work session. And then you also heard me say that there are many complexities to that model, and there are limitations to us as well in terms of looking at that. So that is not a preferred model for us to look at. And the fourth option we talked about was a long-term conversion to virtual. And that option would more be exercised if something were to happen where the governor would call for the schools to close for an extended period of time. Okay, so those were the 4 options that we talked about with the governing board. We did let the board know that we are moving forward with a short-term conversion to virtual when we come back from our winter recess on January the 4th. And Dr. Galligan and I are going to go into detail about that in the future slides. But I wanted to start with the why. Why would we choose the short-term conversion to virtual rather than the other options that we posed? Well, you can know that the reason that I had the metrics on the previous slides is that you can see that case counts in the schools are increasing at an accelerating rate in recent weeks. We went from approximately the low 40s to the mid 60s to now over 100 in a matter of several weeks, where we were only increasing roughly 5 to 7 cases at a time for many weeks before that. We do believe that this increase and this accelerated increase is due to the congregate settings that have happened here with the holidays. And we believe that that will continue to occur and likely increase even more. And that is evidenced in the public health metric today with that case count, as again, it had a significant jump to 350 plus. Due to this increase in spread, we know that staffing challenges could occur on such a large scale basis when we come back that we would not be able to safely open our schools. We also know that we have the potential, the very strong potential, I should say, to have very unusually high numbers of isolations and quarantines for our students. And the fourth bullet point that I have on here is if we do not do a short-term conversion to virtual, we really do risk increasing this opportunity that we'll have more disruptions to the continuation of in-person teaching and learning later on in the school year. So in other words, by doing this short-term conversion to virtual, we put ourselves on stronger ground so that our district is as healthy as possible when we come back, and that we can hopefully finish out the year with as few disruptions as possible to the in-person teaching and learning. Okay, so let's get to the specifics as far as what exactly does this mean, a short-term conversion to virtual. So as it says here on the title of this slide pertains to students in kindergarten through 8th grade, those students in our developmental preschool and Head Start, and also Vista Peak kindergarten through 8th grade. So DVUSD will begin the year in a short-term virtual in this environment, commencing on January 4th through Friday, January the 15th. Students would then resume in person on campus on Tuesday, January the 19th. Now, if you're wondering, why are you coming back on Tuesday and not Monday? Because Monday is already a designated holiday. So again, it will be 10 days of a virtual environment January 4th through the 15th, with students coming back in person on Tuesday, January 19th. Our devices will be sent home before students leave for the winter break, and I believe our last day of school will be December 18th for us. And so students will bring those devices home. If that's not a routine that they already do, they will be bringing them home. Specifically, also, campuses will be sending home information electronically before the winter break begins for anything that is particular to that campus. And then finally, for middle school athletics, I know some parents have inquired about that. I would say that is a situation where more information to come on that. We have had meetings with our administrators and our district athletic director about that. And so folks will just need to stay tuned for more on that, as the situation is fluid with that. Okay, for the next slide, we will cover second semester for students in 9-12, and this also would cover students in Vista Peak 9-12 as well. So Deer Valley Unified School District would begin the year in the virtual beginning January 4th through January 22nd. So this is a 4-day extension beyond what the students in kindergarten through 8th grade are going to do. So again, if you have a student in high school and are wondering why these students would need to have an extended week, we put that clearly on the slide for you to view, that our high school students, they have more independence, they have more interactions in the community, and due to this, they have increased community exposure. You can also see evidence for this in our dashboard, as we certainly do have a larger number of COVID-19 cases in our high schools. By having an extended week for this, it allows for the temperature to cool down with COVID-19 to help us reduce that spread, and then again to come back as strong as possible on Monday, January the 25th. Our high school athletics will continue as regularly scheduled. I do know that many of our schools have had tryouts this week, and so they will continue to practice through the rest of the semester, and then they will continue with their regular competitions, which I believe are scheduled to begin on January the 5th per AIA. Students will bring home their devices as they normally do. This is not something that is different for our high school students, as they are normally expected to do this. And just as our K-8 campuses, our K-6 and our 7-8 campuses will send home information, our high school campuses as well will be sending home additional information before the winter recess begins. Okay, for our community ed preschool, they will begin the year in person on January the 4th. This is consistent with how we began the year in the fall. Community ed preschool began in person on August the 3rd, and then 2 weeks later, our developmental preschool and Vista Peak started. So this is not different from how we did this in the fall, but community ed preschool will begin in person on January the 4th. Okay, let's get to some important support items. I am fully aware, and Dr. Galligan is fully aware, that there are some parents for whom this will not be happy news, perhaps, if you are not already aware of it, and that we know that it will provide challenges for some of our families during that time. So the district, similar to how we did in the fall, is fully prepared to support our families as much as we can during this time. One of the most important, if not the most important item during the virtual session, is to make sure that our families have access to the breakfasts and the lunches that our food and nutrition department prepare. So you can see on this slide that our director of food and nutrition has put some very informative bullet points for you to know. You can see that the curbside service will be available at the majority of the campuses. Our very user-friendly URL, dvusd.org/food, is somewhere where you can go to get any of the latest information regarding the food and nutrition and how it will be distributed. Meals, as stated in bullet point number 2, can be picked up from any location. So even though perhaps your child may have open enrolled into a school that is farther away from another DVUSD school that is closer to you, you could still go to the school that is closest to you to pick up the food. Also, our students that would be in the free space program, and I will go into more detail about free space in a future slide, they will have on-site meal services. And then the last bullet point is an important point that we want to make sure all of our families are aware of. is that our meals continue to be free, and that is due to a waiver from the USDA. So I want to make sure it's clear that our children can get access to this food at no charge. So I very much encourage families to take advantage of this, to make sure you get your breakfasts and your lunches during the conversion to virtual time. And for our high school students who will be going an extended week, this will continue for you during that third week of conversion to virtual. Okay, our winter community ed camps. As you are aware, our community ed program, which is very robust, they do run camps during our winter break, our spring break, and our summer breaks. And so this will continue as normally scheduled. We do have this right now at Desert Sage, and you can see the dates that are posted. Families that are aware of this know that that registration is through community ed and is on their website as well. Those will continue as regularly scheduled. Now, some folks may ask, well, how can you do this and not do regular school? We do need to tell you that at these community ed camps, due to the numbers that are present, we are able to physically and socially distance more, excuse me, than we are able to during regular school. And we have had very much good success with these camps due to the capacity limits that we can set. And so because of that, we believe that we can continue to do these very safely during this time. This next slide talks about the free, safe learning space. This is referred to in the legal documents from the state as on-site support. This is, excuse me, this is a program that we have at our schools where parents that need a space for their kid can potentially send them. Now, the very important piece about this is it is based on staffing capacity. We do have a limited number of employees that are able to staff our schools to help supervise. We did do this in the fall where we had a sign-up process for families to sign their child up to go to one of our sites. That then shifted later on into the virtual setting in the fall to where all of the sites had some capacity to do free space. And so at this point, our community education program is reaching out to the current subset of families that already had access to free space. Those are two subsets of groups. The first subset is those families who are currently participating in the before and after school program. And then also the families, as I said, that participated in the free space at the beginning of the year. Those families are being contacted as we speak to see who is wanting to continue with that. As we noted in the parent update yesterday, we did end the update by saying that more information would come out in next Monday's parent update about that free space. And it needs to be next Monday because we do need time to see what capacity we have so that our schools are informed as far as how many students they could or could not take for the free space beginning January the 4th. So again, I want to repeat some of this on purpose because I do know there are some questions in the community that some families have already been reached out to, and community education will continue to reach out to them regarding this because they already had eligibility for free space. For those families that did not have that eligibility already, those families should look for information to come out in Monday's parent update, just as we noted in yesterday's parent update, to see what additional opportunities, if any, will be available for that. Okay, as far as technology, Deer Valley Unified School District students will bring home their devices, as we noted, before the winter break begins. There are some pieces here as far as support in terms of how families could access that support. I'll ask Dr. Galligan to address some of this slide here if she believes it's necessary. Dr. Galligan, anything in particular you would like to draw parents' attention to?
Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. As Dr. Zerbach said.
I think you're muted, Gail. I think.
No, not muted.
I'm muted.
As Dr. Zerbach said, the students, all students will have devices to come home on that last day of the first semester. You'll notice in that sub-bullet that if a parent does not want a device to go home because you have a personal device already, Please let your teacher know that information by Wednesday, December 16th. Otherwise, all students will be bringing home their device. If your student needs tech support as we get started on January 4th, here are our two sites that you can absolutely check out. One is, of course, the DVUSD website, and the other is the Home Tech Help Ticket. Both of those will be answered, give information as you need it. If you have a need for information about setting up Wi-Fi or options for Wi-Fi, that can also be found on the district website. And you can also send that information through the Home Tech Help Ticket, and those are the URLs there that you can use. Okay? Instructional delivery will be through Canvas courses, just as it has been since we started the school year, and our Zoom meetings. And your children's teachers will reach out to them with further information. But our instructional delivery will continue in all subject areas, including specials and electives and all of those programs through Canvas and in Zoom meetings. Okay? Here are some expectations for K6, K8. When we return for those 2 weeks, there will be required Zoom time, and that will be direct instruction in Zoom with independent work time that is embedded in the Zoom meetings. And that's a little bit different for some of us from the fall. But for these 2 weeks, we want to ensure that our students get started in that second semester with as much positive work as possible. You will note that the days will mirror a typical school day as close as possible, and our teachers will work with their schedule so that it is very similar to a typical school day. There could be some adjustments that would be made, such as lunch and other things, and your campus and teachers will communicate that information. Special areas will be live Zoom daily. So whatever normal specials your child would have on Monday through Friday, that will happen and occur just like normal. It'll be a little bit shorter, but specials will be live Zoom, which is a bit different than we had in the fall. There will be daily synchronous and asynchronous learning that is going to be involved in those particular 10 days. Here's the key thing just to be aware of. All components of the school day that your children have been participating in person will still be in place over those 2 weeks. Our goal is to ensure that we do not have lost learning over those 2 weeks, so our kids are with their teachers every day. If you are a DVOA parent and you have a child moving back to the brick and mortar campus, they will be scheduled with a new teacher on their brick and mortar campus, but the expectation is that they will follow the above virtual expectations. I know that was a question out there, so we wanted to be very clear that any of our DVOA students moving back to the brick and mortar campus will follow the information that you see above there. Okay, Gary? For our true middle schools, Deer Valley Middle, Hillcrest Middle, Desert Sky Middle, and our 5 high schools, here are the expectations that our students will follow. We will follow again. We will mirror the same daily AB block schedule, and there will be required daily synchronous Zoom lessons and learning. We will follow the normal Zoom norm expectations. Power school attendance will be taken each period in Zoom, and standard student drop policies will follow regarding student attendance. We want to be very clear here that for these 3 weeks, 10, 14 days for our middle school and high school, those days are as important as any other school day, and having students attend with their teachers is going to keep them on track or help prevent further loss of learning. This is most important, and we just want to stress that we are following our normal daily schedule, and the expectation is that children will attend school on those 14 days. Specific to DVOA and our parents who are maintaining their children in DVOA, our teachers are looking forward to the second semester with their students. We've had them working with Principal Schubert, and everything she tells me is that they are excited and looking forward to a second semester because they better know what they are working with and the kids that they are supporting. As far as student support goes, there will be a focus on opportunities for synchronous learning across all grade levels, and that is kindergarten through 8th grade. And I know we have had many parents who have asked for additional opportunities for kids to Zoom in, and we are building that in because our teachers have identified that also as a need. There will also be a focus on additional social and emotional learning opportunities at all levels. Our current DVOA students who are already indicated that they will be remaining in DVOA will stay with their current teachers, with the exception of we will have a change in specials based on different grade levels. So your child may have a different teacher for specials. And we just wanted to put that out there so that you and your children know that for the most part, they will be staying with their current teachers. Here is something brand new, and we just want to share this with you. There will be a new DVOA contact email, and that begins on January 4th. So when you have questions, please use this, dvoa@dvusd.org. The difference will be is that there will be a DVOLP, which is our high school, and a DVOA, which is K-8. And it just gives us a better opportunity to be much more timely in our response to any questions or concerns or celebrations that are shared with us. Okay, Gary. For DVOLP, this is so important. For example, we know that many of our full-time high school DVOLP students have never necessarily been full-time before. In fact, we went from about 60 full-time kids up to close to over 500 full-time kids. So they may not know that they have to go in and register through Go Sign Me Up for second semester high school classes. They might think that it just automatically transfers over, and it does not. For DVOA, it does because we started those as full year courses. DVOLP are semester-long courses. So here is the most important information for parents and students who are going to be continuing with a full-time DVOLP. They must register now through Go Sign Me Up. If students do not register through Go Sign Me Up, here's the kicker. They will not be registered for the second semester. They will not have their schedules built, and they will not have teachers when we start classes on Monday, January 4th. So here is what we are asking you and our high school students to do. To please register for their high school classes in Go Sign Me Up no later than Wednesday, December 16th. That's next Wednesday. If you plan on attending DV Online Learning Program and be a full-time student, if you are registered in Go Sign Me Up by Wednesday, December 16th, you will have a schedule to start on January 4th. For those students who do not, we will not have a schedule for you to start January 4th. We will have that schedule somewhere between January 4th and January 8th. You can see that the link to register is right there, and that will be available and open through Wednesday, December 16th. Okay, thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Dr. Galligan, very much. Okay, so let's talk about how you can help as a parent. We know that this is a big change for our community during that 2-week time. And so Dr. Galligan and I ask that you help spread the word about the recording of this webinar. So if you have friends of the parents of perhaps some of your children that you could share with them some of this information that was contained in this webinar, and perhaps in any of your social media that you could provide the links to this, as this will be on the DVUSD link for later viewing. Also, next Wednesday on December 16th, we are planning to have a social emotional webinar for our parents that talks about some of the anxieties that our parents, our students, and our teachers are feeling during this time. And it will contain tips as well about how to effectively cope with some of those anxieties. That's sure to be a good SEL webinar. We encourage everyone to pass the word and to attend. That will be recorded as well. Also, during the winter break, please help reduce the spread of COVID-19. There are a number of measures that you could take For a list of those, please visit the Maricopa County Department of Public Health, the State Department of ADHS, or the CDC, as all of those sites have good recommendations for how we can all help reduce the spread. Because if we all help reduce the spread, we increase our chances of having minimal disruptions in our second semester. During the winter break, I also asked that our community continue to report cases of positive cases of COVID-19 at our website, DVUSD.org/COVID reporting. It has very clear procedures about what to do if you have a case of COVID-19. And then beginning January the 4th, in terms of helping your children, help encourage them and promote the message that the virtual school is school and that attendance will be taken. We want all of our students to be engaged in the virtual for all setting. Again, I will state, I know this is not ideal for everyone. I myself have 2 kids in the system, and the virtual setting had its own challenges for us. But it's important that as parents and as the community that we communicate the message that this is school because all of it helps. Also, I ask that our parents, you help maintain regular routines for the kids once the January 4th begins. So that could be with the routines such as good bedtimes for the students so that they have good energy during the day for the virtual setting, that they have good meal times with their breakfast, and also that they get good physical exercise outside, as that will certainly help them stay positive and stay engaged in the virtual for all setting. And also stay in contact with your teacher and your school. I know that the schools will have updates on their websites, on their social media accounts, and so you can certainly stay up to date, stay active, and that would be a positive thing to do in a way that you can help support not only your child, but your child's classroom, your child's grade level, and your child's school as a whole. Well, that concludes our parent webinar. Dr. Galligan and I certainly appreciate those who took time to view this today. Again, please share this with your friends that you know. Share it with them, let them know about the information that was contained so that as many of our community as possible, or as much as our community as possible, I should say, can have up-to-date information. We do want to provide a chance for you to pose some questions to us. And so to do this, you would need to open up your camera for the QR code, and you could submit that question. If you are unable to use the QR code, note that the URL for the form is listed there. And so we will keep this open for a couple of minutes so that you can pose your question, submit it. And then Dr. Galligan and I plan to review these questions tomorrow and on Monday with the Executive Cabinet. And then for the questions where there's a clear pattern where many folks have similar questions, we'll do our best to address those in the Monday parent update, which will release in the afternoons. Again, thank you very much. We appreciate your time, and we hope everyone stays safe and enjoys the holiday season. Thank you.